Francis is in Pangbourne. Francis, what would you like to say?
Hi, James. Thanks for having me on. I think it's a very unfortunate situation, and it doesn't look good for the country, frankly, all the booing that's taking place. But I have a feeling that the reason why it's continuing is because the kneeling before games, I think, restarted as soon as football restarted back in August or July or whatever it was. And I think a lot of people think, when does this stop? Not that they necessarily think that racism is not a problem, but would this be an indefinite thing? I mean, I think that's the lack of clarity on that, I think, is what's getting a lot of people so angry.
Well, don't talk to me about a lot of people. Just talk to me about yourself.
Well, that's exactly what I believe.
So you think we've had enough of it now?
Well, that's not the point, really. The point is that...
Sorry.
I think there are a lot of people who would say...
But no, again, you're doing it, sorry to badger you, but I don't want to hear from a lot of people. It's a one-on-one conversation. You feel that it should stop now because it's gone on for long enough.
I think that it has to stop at some stage. Yes. Maybe not now, but I have a feeling that...
Would you boo if you were there?
No, of course I wouldn't.
Well, why did you say it like that? Why did you say, of course I wouldn't?
Well, because that's what I feel.
But you share the views of the people that are booing. You're explaining them to me.
No, I didn't. I said I think at some stage it should stop.
Yes.
And I think that the problem is...
And the people who are booing are booing because, like you, they believe that at some stage it should stop.
Yes, but I said I wouldn't boo, so there's obviously a complete distinction there.
What's the difference between you and them?
I wouldn't boo, they are booing.
Yes, I know. What's the difference between you and them?
The difference between me and them is that, well, in terms of the booing, it's because I wouldn't boo, they would boo. I can't, again, when you say you don't want me to talk about lots of people.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm not being unfair. There's no point you telling me what other people think when this whole phone-in is built upon the idea of if I walk into a room and you're kneeling, I can't tell you why you're kneeling. I can only ask you why you're kneeling. And the footballers say we're kneeling to express our opposition to racism, our solidarity with the idea, with the statement that Black Lives Matter, to which my response is, well, flipping, you carry on, lads, for as long as you want, for as long as it takes, for as long as it needs. And your response is, yeah, I'm just going to check the watch and see whether it's time to withdraw support for this.
If I could ask you a question. If they were still taking the knee before football matches in 3 years' time,
yes,
would you think that would be okay?
No, it would never enter my mind that there was a time limit on the fight against racism.
No, but if I had to ask...
sorry, I've done you a disservice there. If the battle had been won.
So what would the battle have been won mean?
Well, then you'd have to ask them, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm asking you, though.
Okay, well, it would involve a confidence that institutional racism or persistent discrimination or double standards no longer applied across huge swathes of the country. It would also be nice to stop seeing black people getting killed by white police officers.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean,
what would it be for you? When would you think it was time up?
Well, I just think it's a question of proportionality. I think that we've now had the kneeling for a year, and I don't understand why you were cross when I said you think it's gone on for long enough. No, I think the main reason I called in was to say I think that a lot of people have a feeling that this is never going to end, and I think that is what is causing.
Well, how do you think being a victim of racism feels?
No, I'm not denying that that's not a problem.
No, but just in the context of being slightly annoyed that this is never going to end. You're comparing people watching kneeling to people enduring racism. I mean, it's never going to end. Pick a side. Who do you feel sorriest for? The people who have to keep watching these flipping footballers kneeling, or the people who have to keep living with institutional racism?
It's a question that... There are many ills in society,
yes.
And
we've drawn enough attention to this one now. Let's move on to another one. Which one would you move on to first?
Well, should we say sexism? I mean, this is not a question of who is the most oppressed.
Well, it kind of is, because you're saying how long is it going to go on for? To which the answer would be when there is presumably either meaningful progress or, may the day dawn soon, no oppression at all. And I stress again, for anybody else waiting to talk, don't tell me what you think other people think. You know, tell me. Well, no, you can tell me what you think other people think, but I'm more interested in what you think. And the question where you can tell me what other people think is, now that the players have explained, now that it has been explained, crystal clear why they are doing it, how come anyone could still boo?